Buying or selling a home, it's one of the biggest, most exciting decisions you'll ever make. But what's really going on behind the scenes to make sure that journey is fair for everyone? Well, today, we're going to dive into the crucial idea of fair housing. It's a commitment that protects you and makes sure your whole experience is built on trust and equality. Let's get right into it.
So, let's start with the big question. What does fair housing actually mean for you? I mean, it's more than just some legal term you hear thrown around. It's really a set of protections designed to make sure that your home search or your sale is handled equitably from the moment you start to the day you get the keys. To really get why fair housing is so incredibly important today, we have to take a look back. These laws didn't just pop up out of thin air. Nope, they were created to fix a long and often really painful history of inequality in housing.
And that really gets to the heart of it. At its core, fair housing was a direct response to a system where, let's be honest, not everyone had the same shot. The goal of these laws is actually pretty simple. Your access to a home should be based on your finances and your choice. That's it. Period.
A prime and pretty awful example of this was a practice called redlining. It involved literally drawing red lines on maps to mark certain neighborhoods as undesirable. This systematically blocked entire communities from getting loans and buying homes, and that has had an impact on building generational wealth that we still see today. And then there's something called steering. This is where a real estate agent might, say, guide a buyer toward or away from a neighborhood based on their race or their background. Now, while these practices are absolutely illegal today, their legacy, you can still see the echoes of it in the makeup of many of our communities.
Okay, so how does all this history connect to what's happening now? While that kind of obvious discrimination is less common, the barriers to fair housing have gotten a lot more subtle, and honestly, a lot of times they're completely unintentional. And here's the thing that's so crucial to understand in today's world. Discrimination isn't always on purpose. In fact, studies have shown that two people with the exact same financial profile can be treated very, very differently when they're looking for a home. It just goes to show how unconscious biases can lead to some really unequal results. This brings us to a really key concept called implicit bias, and the truth is, we all have it. It's basically the mental shortcuts our brains create based on, our life experiences, the media we see, and the world around us.
Now, it's so important to say that this doesn't make someone a bad person. Not at all. It's just how our brains are wired to sort information quickly. But for a real estate professional, being aware of these biases and actively working to overcome them is absolutely critical to treating every single client fairly. So what does all of this mean for your home search? Well, understanding these concepts is actually your advantage. It gives you the power to make sure your experience is fair, right from the very beginning.
When you work with an agent who is truly committed to fair housing, the benefits are crystal clear. You'll see all the properties that actually fit what you're looking for. Your conversations will be based on facts, not assumptions, and you'll feel empowered to make decisions based on what is genuinely best for you. The whole process just becomes safer, clearer, and way more equitable. But here's the thing. Fair housing is so much more than just following the rules. A real commitment means constant education and training, so agents can turn these important principles into real-world practice every single day. So what does this commitment look like in action? Well, many of the best real estate professionals go through some pretty specialized training. For example, some really great programs focus on how to work effectively with diverse communities, and they even use simulations to practice fair housing in realistic scenarios. One fantastic training is the At Home with Diversity certification. It's all about equipping agents to really understand the unique cultural and financial needs of clients from all kinds of backgrounds. This helps make sure you get service that isn't just fair, but is also really knowledgeable and respectful. Another incredibly powerful tool is a simulation training called Fairhaven. Think of it like a flight simulator, but for real estate ethics. It puts agents into these realistic situations where they have to navigate potential bias and discrimination. It's such a practical way for them to sharpen their skills and make sure they're upholding the absolute highest ethical standards. So the big takeaway here is this. Look for an agent who has really invested in this kind of training. You're not just hiring someone to shuffle paperwork, you're partnering with a professional who is actively committed to making this whole process fair and equitable for every single person. In the end, a commitment to fair housing is really a commitment to you. It's what ensures your journey is one where you feel seen, respected, and empowered every step of the way. So as you start your search, don't ever be afraid to ask your agent about their commitment to these principles. Thanks so much for joining us.